Ethan Miller stepped out of the glass-walled conference room, his expensive shoes clicking against the polished marble floor of the office building. The meeting had been successful, as usual. His company's stock was soaring, and his personal wealth continued to grow. Yet, as he walked past his colleagues and employees, their congratulatory nods and smiles felt hollow. The elevator ride to the ground floor was silent, save for the occasional ping as it passed each level. Ethan stood alone, his reflection in the mirrored walls showing a man in his late 30s, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit. His hair was perfectly styled, and his watch probably cost more than most people's annual salary. But his eyes told a different story, one of isolation and growing discontent. As he exited the building, the bustle of New York City enveloped him. The streets were crowded with people rushing to their destinations, the air filled with the sounds of traffic and distant sirens. Ethan walked along the sidewalk, his mind preoccupied with the emptiness he felt despite his success. He turned a corner, lost in thought, when something caught his eye. A woman sat on the sidewalk, her belongings scattered around her in worn bags. Her clothes were tattered, and her hair was unkempt. But it wasn't her appearance that made Ethan stop in his tracks. It was her face. A face he hadn't seen in years, but one he could never forget. Sarah Thompson, his first love. As he stood there, frozen, memories flooded back. Suddenly he was 20 again, carefree and full of dreams. He remembered lazy summer afternoons in the park, Sarah's laughter echoing in his ears. They had been inseparable then, two young souls convinced they would conquer the world together. In his mind's eye, he saw Sarah as she was then, vibrant, full of life, with a spark in her eyes that could light up a room. He remembered their first kiss, awkward and sweet, under the stars at a music festival. He could almost feel the warmth of her hand in his as they walked through their college campus, discussing their plans for the future. Those memories were in stark contrast to the reality before him. The woman on the street bore little resemblance to the Sarah of his youth. Her once bright eyes were now dull and unfocused, her skin weathered by years of hardship. Ethan felt a pang of guilt and sadness wash over him. How had this happened? Where had their paths diverged so drastically? Without thinking, Ethan took a step towards her. "Sarah?" he called out, his voice barely audible above the city noise. She didn't respond, her gaze fixed on the ground in front of her. He tried again, louder this time. "Sarah, is that you?" This time she looked up. For a brief moment, their eyes met. Ethan searched for a glimmer of recognition, any sign that she remembered him. But her eyes were blank, devoid of any warmth or familiarity. She quickly looked away, turning her attention back to the worn backpack at her feet. Ethan stood there, unsure of what to do next. He wanted to reach out, to offer help, to understand what had happened in the years since they'd last seen each other. But the gulf between them seemed insurmountable. He was a man in an expensive suit, standing on a New York City street corner. She was a woman struggling to survive, her world a far cry from the luxury he lived in. He took another step forward, determined to make a connection. "Sarah, it's me, Ethan. Do you remember?" His voice was gentle, almost pleading, but Sarah's reaction was not what he had hoped for. She tensed visibly, her shoulders hunching as if to make herself smaller. Without a word, she gathered her things and stood up, moving away from him with quick, purposeful steps. Ethan watched her go, feeling helpless and confused. The woman he once knew, the woman he had loved, was now a stranger to him. And yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that their paths crossing again was more than mere coincidence. As Sarah disappeared into the crowd, Ethan remained rooted to the spot. The busy New York street continued its relentless pace around him, but he was oblivious to it all. His mind raced with questions and possibilities. What had happened to Sarah? How long had she been living on the streets? And most importantly, What could he do to help her? The encounter left Ethan shaken, forcing him to confront the vast differences between his life and Sarah's current situation. It was a stark reminder of how unpredictable life could be and how quickly fortunes could change. As he finally turned to continue his journey home, Ethan knew that his life had just taken an unexpected turn. The comfortable isolation of his wealthy existence had been shattered, and he was left grappling with emotions he thought he had long since buried. Ethan sat in his penthouse apartment, surrounded by luxury but feeling more alone than ever. The encounter with Sarah had shaken him to his core. He held an old photo album in his hands, its pages yellowed with age. As he flipped through it, memories of his youth with Sarah came flooding back. There they were, fresh-faced and full of hope, at their high school graduation. Another photo showed them on a road trip, laughing in front of the Grand Canyon. Each image was a stark reminder of the path not taken, of the life he could have had if things had been different. Ethan's fingers lingered on a particular photo, Sarah painting in their old college dorm room. Her face was a picture of concentration, a small frown creasing her brow as she worked on her canvas. He remembered how passionate she had been about her art, how she had dreamed of opening her own gallery one day. As he closed the album, Ethan couldn't help but wonder, what choices had led Sarah to her current situation? And what role had his own decisions played in their diverging paths? The weight of these questions pressed heavily on him. Seeking answers and perhaps a bit of absolution, Ethan reached for his phone. He scrolled through his contacts until he found the name he was looking for: Alex Rodriguez. Alex had been a mutual friend of Ethan and Sarah's back in college. Unlike Ethan, who had pursued a career in finance, Alex had dedicated his life to social causes. The phone rang several times before Alex picked up. "Ethan, this is unexpected." Alex's voice was warm, but tinged with surprise. "Alex, I need to talk to you about something important," Ethan said, his voice betraying his unease. "It's about Sarah." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Sarah Thompson? Ethan, what's going on?" Ethan recounted his encounter with Sarah, his words tumbling out in a rush. As he spoke, he could hear Alex's sharp intake of breath. "I've been trying to reach her for years," Alex said when Ethan finished. "The last I heard, she was struggling with some personal issues, but I had no idea it had gotten this bad." "I want to help her, Alex," Ethan said, "but I don't know how. When I tried to approach her, she just walked away." Alex sighed. "It's not that simple, Ethan. People experiencing homelessness often face complex challenges. It's not just about not having money or a place to live. There are often underlying issues, mental health problems, addiction, trauma." Ethan felt a twinge of frustration, but surely there must be something we can do. "I have resources, Alex. I can provide her with a place to stay, help her get back on her feet." "I understand you want to help, Ethan." Alex's voice was patient but firm. "But throwing money at the problem isn't always the solution. These situations require a delicate approach. You need to understand the realities of life on the streets." Ethan fell silent, absorbing Alex's words. He realized that despite his wealth and success, he was woefully ignorant about the struggles faced by people like Sarah. "Look," Alex continued, "I'm involved with several organizations that work with the homeless community. Why don't you come down to one of our outreach events? It might give you a better perspective on what Sarah might be going through." Ethan agreed readily, eager to do something, anything, to help. They arranged to meet the following day at a local community center, where Alex's organization was hosting a food and clothing drive. The next morning, Ethan found himself in a part of the city he rarely visited. The community center was a far cry from the sleek office buildings he was used to. The paint was peeling, and the sign above the door was faded, but the place hummed with activity. Alex greeted him at the door, his face breaking into a smile. "Glad you could make it, Ethan. Ready to get your hands dirty?" For the next few hours, Ethan worked alongside volunteers, sorting donations, preparing meals, and interacting with the center's clients. He listened to their stories, each one a testament to the harsh realities of life on the streets. Some had lost jobs, others battled addiction or mental illness. Many spoke of the stigma they faced daily, the feeling of being invisible to the world. As the day wore on, Ethan began to understand what Alex had meant about the complexity of homelessness. It wasn't just about providing a roof over someone's head or a warm meal. It was about addressing systemic issues, about treating people with dignity and respect. By the end of the day, Ethan was exhausted, but also invigorated. He had seen a side of life he had been blind to for too long. As he and Alex said their goodbyes, Ethan made a decision. "I want to do more," he told Alex. "Not just today, but moving forward. How can I get more involved?" Alex smiled, clapping Ethan on the shoulder. "That's great to hear. We can always use more help, especially someone with your skills and resources. But remember, Ethan, this isn't about assuaging guilt or playing the hero. It's about making a real, sustainable difference in people's lives." Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of Alex's words. As he walked back to his car, his mind was already racing with ideas. He knew that helping Sarah wouldn't be easy, but he was committed to trying. And in the process, he hoped to become a better person himself. The city streets looked different to Ethan now. Behind every face, he saw a story, a struggle, a life. He realized that his journey was just beginning, and for the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose beyond his business success. The path ahead was uncertain, but Ethan was ready to face it head-on. Weeks passed, and Ethan found himself increasingly involved in Alex's outreach programs. He'd been attending regular events, donating both time and money, and slowly gaining a better understanding of the homeless community. However, Sarah remained elusive. Despite his efforts, he hadn't seen her since that first encounter. One crisp autumn morning, as Ethan was helping to distribute coffee and sandwiches at a local park frequented by the homeless, he spotted a familiar figure. Sarah was sitting on a bench, hunched over a sketch pad. His heart raced as he approached her, careful not to startle her. "Sarah?" he called softly. She looked up, her eyes widening with recognition. This time, there was no blank stare or immediate retreat. Instead, she closed her sketch pad and regarded him warily. "Ethan," she said, her voice hoarse, "I remember you from before. You've been around a lot lately." Ethan nodded, relieved that she was willing to engage. "I've been volunteering with Alex's organization. I wanted to help." Sarah's eyes narrowed slightly. "Because you saw me? Is that why you're doing this?" Ethan felt a flush of embarrassment. "Initially, yes," he admitted. "But it's become more than that. I've learned so much these past few weeks. Sarah, I want to help you. Please, let me." Sarah's posture stiffened. "I don't need your charity, Ethan. I'm not some project for you to feel good about yourself." "That's not what I meant," Ethan backpedaled, realizing his mistake. "I just thought maybe I could help you get back on your feet, a place to stay, maybe some job connections." "Stop," Sarah interrupted, her voice firm. "I appreciate that you want to help, but I need to do this on my own terms. I'm not the same person you knew in college, Ethan. A lot has happened." Ethan fell silent, unsure of how to proceed. He watched as Sarah's fingers tightened around her sketch pad, her knuckles white with tension. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "You're right. I shouldn't assume I know what's best for you. Can we just talk? As friends?" Sarah's grip on the sketch pad loosened slightly. She regarded him for a long moment before nodding slowly. "Okay, we can talk, but not here. Not now. I have somewhere to be." She stood up, tucking the sketch pad into her worn backpack. "There's a coffee shop on 5th and Pine. Meet me there tomorrow at 2 p.m. if you want to talk." Before Ethan could respond, Sarah had turned and walked away, disappearing into the morning crowd. He watched her go, a mix of emotions churning inside him. Later that day, Ethan met with Alex at a local diner. As they sat in a booth, Ethan recounted his interaction with Sarah. Alex listened intently, stirring his coffee absently. When Ethan finished, Alex leaned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You need to be careful, Ethan. Your heart's in the right place, but you can't force help on someone who isn't ready for it." Ethan frowned. "But she agreed to meet me. That's a good sign, right?" "It's a start," Alex conceded, "but you need to respect her autonomy. Sarah's been through things we can't imagine. The last thing she needs is to feel like she's being controlled or pitied." "So what should I do?" Ethan asked, frustration evident in his voice. Alex took a sip of his coffee before responding. "Listen to her. Really listen. Don't go in with a plan or an agenda. Let her lead the conversation. And most importantly, be prepared to accept that she might not want your help, at least not in the way you're thinking." Ethan nodded slowly, absorbing Alex's advice. As they continued their conversation, discussing various aspects of homelessness and the challenges faced by those trying to get back on their feet, Ethan's mind kept drifting to Sarah. Meanwhile, across town, Sarah sat alone in a small room at a women's shelter. She'd managed to secure a bed for a few nights, a rare stroke of luck in her otherwise precarious existence. As the other women in the shelter chatted and went about their evening routines, Sarah pulled out her sketch pad. She flipped through the pages, each filled with intricate drawings, cityscapes, portraits of people she'd met on the streets, abstract pieces that seemed to pulse with emotion. Art had always been her escape, her way of making sense of the world. Even when she had nothing else, she had this. Sarah paused on a blank page, her pencil hovering above the surface. She began to sketch, her strokes quick and sure. As the image took shape, she realized she was drawing Ethan as she'd seen him earlier that day, the expensive clothes at odds with the genuine concern in his eyes. She sighed, closing the sketch pad. Tomorrow's meeting loomed in her mind, filling her with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Part of her wanted to believe that Ethan could help, that he represented a chance to turn her life around. But another part, the part hardened by years of struggle and disappointment, warned her to be cautious. As she prepared for bed, Sarah made a decision. She would meet with Ethan, hear him out, but she would also be honest about her situation, her struggles, and her determination to rebuild her life on her own terms. She wouldn't let nostalgia or the allure of an easy solution cloud her judgment. With that resolve, Sarah settled into her temporary bed. Tomorrow would bring what it would bring. For now, she allowed herself a moment of peace, grateful for the roof over her head and the promise of a new day. The coffee shop on 5th and Pine was bustling with afternoon patrons when Ethan arrived. He scanned the room, his heart rate quickening when he spotted Sarah in a corner booth. She was hunched over her sketch pad, seemingly oblivious to the world around her. Ethan approached cautiously, clearing his throat to announce his presence. Sarah looked up, her expression guarded but not unwelcoming. "You came," she said, closing her sketch pad. "Of course," Ethan replied, sliding into the seat across from her. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me." An awkward silence fell between them. Ethan noticed the deep circles under Sarah's eyes, the way her clothes hung loosely on her frame. He resisted the urge to comment, remembering Alex's advice to let Sarah lead the conversation. "So," Sarah began, her fingers drumming nervously on the table. "You wanted to talk." Ethan nodded, choosing his words carefully. "I did. I do. Sarah, I want to understand. What happened? How did you end up?" He trailed off, unsure how to phrase his question without sounding insensitive. Sarah's eyes hardened slightly. "How did I end up on the streets, you mean?" Her voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "It's not a pretty story, Ethan. Are you sure you want to hear it?" "I do," Ethan said firmly, "if you're willing to share it." Sarah took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the table between them. "After college, I tried to make it as an artist. For a while, things were okay. I had a small studio, did some commission work. But then," she paused, swallowing hard, "my mom got sick, cancer. I spent everything I had on her treatments, but it wasn't enough. She died, and I was left with nothing but debt." Ethan listened intently, his heart aching for her. Sarah continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I lost my apartment, couldn't find steady work. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was sleeping in shelters, then on the streets." "Sarah, I'm so sorry," Ethan said, resisting the urge to reach out and take her hand. "I had no idea." Sarah looked up, her eyes meeting his. "It's not your fault, Ethan. Life happens. We all make choices, and we live with the consequences." Ethan leaned forward, his voice earnest. "But it doesn't have to be this way. Sarah, let me help you. I have resources, connections. We could find you a place to stay, maybe even set up an art studio." "Stop," Sarah interrupted, her voice sharp. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. You can't just throw money at this and expect it to fix everything." Ethan recoiled, taken aback by her vehemence. "I'm not trying to fix you, Sarah. I just want to help." "But don't you see?" Sarah's voice rose slightly, drawing curious glances from nearby tables. "Your help comes with strings attached. Maybe not intentionally, but it does. You'd always be the one who saved me. I'd be indebted to you." Ethan shook his head, frustration mounting. "That's not true. I don't expect anything in return. I just can't stand by and watch you struggle when I have the means to help." Sarah's expression softened slightly. "I know you mean well, Ethan, but this is my life, my journey. I need to find my own way out of this. Even if it means continuing to live on the streets?" Ethan couldn't keep the disbelief out of his voice. "If that's what it takes," Sarah said firmly. "I'm not giving up, Ethan. I'm still creating art, still trying to build something for myself. It's just taking longer than I expected." Ethan sat back, feeling deflated. He had come into this meeting with such high hopes, certain that he could make a difference. Now, he felt helpless in the face of Sarah's determination to go it alone. "I don't understand," he said finally. "Why won't you let me help you?" Sarah sighed, running a hand through her tangled hair. "Because I need to do this on my own terms, Ethan. I've lost so much. My mom, my home, my dignity. My independence is all I have left. If I let you swoop in and fix everything, what does that say about me?" Ethan opened his mouth to argue, then closed it again. He remembered Alex's words about respecting Sarah's autonomy. As much as it pained him, he had to acknowledge that this was Sarah's decision to make. "Okay," he said slowly. "I hear you. I don't agree, but I hear you. Can you at least let me know if you ever need anything, even if it's just someone to talk to?" Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "I can do that. But Ethan, you need to understand, this isn't going to be some fairy tale ending. My life is complicated, messy. Are you sure you want to be a part of that?" Ethan met her gaze steadily. "I'm sure. Whatever happens, Sarah, I want you to know that you're not alone. Not anymore." As they parted ways outside the coffee shop, Ethan watched Sarah disappear into the crowd. He felt a mix of emotions, frustration, sadness, but also a grudging respect for Sarah's resilience. He realized that helping her would be far more challenging than he had initially thought. But as he turned to head home, Ethan knew one thing for certain. He wasn't giving up on Sarah. Not this time. In the weeks following his conversation with Sarah, Ethan threw himself into his volunteer work with renewed vigor. He spent his weekends at soup kitchens, shelters, and community centers, listening to stories of struggle and survival. Each interaction opened his eyes further to the complex realities of homelessness. One particularly cold Saturday, Ethan found himself helping at a shelter where Alex was organizing a winter coat drive. As he sorted through donations, a young woman approached him, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said, clutching a warm coat to her chest. It means more than you know." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with the heaters struggling against the winter chill. "You're welcome. I'm glad we could help." As the woman walked away, Ethan caught Alex watching him. "You're getting it now, aren't you?" Alex said, coming over to stand beside him. Ethan nodded. "I think I am. It's not about grand gestures or quick fixes. It's about being here, showing up, making a difference in small ways." Alex clapped him on the shoulder. "Exactly. And speaking of showing up, how are things with Sarah?" Ethan's smile faded slightly. "Complicated. I've seen her a few times at the park where we distribute meals. We talk, but she's still resistant to accepting any substantial help." "But she's talking to you," Alex pointed out. "That's progress." Ethan had to admit Alex was right. While Sarah wasn't ready to accept his offer of financial assistance, she had begun to open up to him during their brief encounters. She'd even shown him some of her sketches, hauntingly beautiful depictions of city life from a perspective Ethan had never considered before. As the day wore on, Ethan found himself thinking about Sarah's art. An idea began to form in his mind, one that excited him with its potential. The next time he saw Sarah, at their now regular Tuesday morning coffee meetup, Ethan could barely contain his enthusiasm. "I've been thinking," he began, as Sarah sipped her coffee warily. "What if we organized an art show, featuring works by homeless and formerly homeless artists, including you?" Sarah's eyebrows shot up. "An art show? Ethan, I don't know." "Just hear me out," Ethan pressed on. "It would be a chance to showcase your talent, to tell your story through your art, and not just yours. We could involve other artists from the community. It could raise awareness, maybe even some funds for local shelters." Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "It's an interesting idea," she said finally. "But where would we even hold something like that? And who would come?" Ethan grinned. "Leave that to me. I have some connections in the art world. We could find a gallery willing to host, maybe even get some media coverage." For the first time since they'd reconnected, Ethan saw a glimmer of excitement in Sarah's eyes. "You really think people would be interested in seeing our work?" "I know they would," Ethan said confidently. "Your art is incredible, Sarah. It deserves to be seen." Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Sarah worked together to bring the art show to life. Ethan reached out to his contacts, securing a small but well-respected gallery for the event. Sarah, meanwhile, connected with other artists she knew from shelters and community centers. As they collaborated, Ethan found himself rediscovering the Sarah he had known in college, passionate, creative, and full of life. He watched in amazement as she coordinated with the other artists, offering encouragement and advice with a gentle authority that spoke of her own experiences. The night of the show arrived, and the gallery was buzzing with energy. Ethan stood back, watching as Sarah guided a group of visitors through the exhibition, explaining the stories behind each piece. Her own work, a series of stark yet beautiful cityscapes, had already garnered significant interest from several buyers. "You did good, Ethan," Alex said, appearing at his side. "This is making a real difference." Ethan shook his head. "I just provided the space. Sarah and the other artists did all the real work." As the evening wound down, Sarah approached Ethan, her eyes shining. "I can't believe this," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "People are actually buying our art. They're listening to our stories." Ethan smiled. "Of course they are. Your talent speaks for itself, Sarah." Sarah's expression grew serious. "Thank you, Ethan, for believing in me, for giving us this opportunity. I think I'm ready to accept some help now." Ethan felt a surge of hope, but he tempered his reaction. "Whatever you need, Sarah, we'll take it one step at a time." As they stood there, surrounded by the fruits of their collaboration, Ethan realized that he had gained far more from this experience than he had given. He had rediscovered a sense of purpose, a connection to his community that had been missing from his life of wealth and privilege. Looking at Sarah, seeing the renewed confidence in her stance and the pride in her eyes, Ethan knew that their journey together was far from over. But for the first time, he felt like they were truly on the same path, walking side by side towards a future full of possibility. The success of the art show marked a turning point in Ethan and Sarah's relationship. Sarah, buoyed by the positive reception of her work, began to cautiously accept more of Ethan's help. She agreed to move into a small studio apartment that Ethan helped secure through a local housing program for artists. As Sarah settled into her new space, Ethan noticed a gradual change in her demeanor. The constant wariness that had characterized their early interactions began to fade, replaced by a cautious optimism. She threw herself into her art with renewed vigor, her canvases coming alive with vivid depictions of life on the streets, tinged with hope and resilience. One afternoon, as Ethan helped Sarah set up her new easel, she turned to him with a serious expression. "Ethan, I've been thinking. The art show, it wasn't just about me. There are so many others out there with stories to tell, talents to share. What if we could do something more permanent?" Ethan's interest was piqued. "What do you have in mind?" Sarah's eyes lit up as she explained her idea. An art collective, a space where homeless and formerly homeless artists could work, exhibit their pieces, maybe even teach classes. It could be a bridge between worlds, you know. Ethan nodded slowly, his mind already racing with possibilities. "That's actually a brilliant idea, Sarah. It could provide income, build skills, raise awareness. We could even partner with local businesses for supplies and support." Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Sarah worked tirelessly to bring the art collective to life. Ethan leveraged his business connections to secure funding and a suitable space, while Sarah reached out to her network in the homeless community to find interested artists. As word of the project spread, Ethan found himself facing unexpected pushback from his usual social circles. At a charity gala he was obligated to attend, he overheard whispers and saw pointed looks thrown his way. "Ethan, darling," cooed Vivian Astor, a longtime family friend, cornering him by the champagne fountain. "We've been so worried about you. All this time you're spending in those dreadful neighborhoods. It's not like you at all." Ethan bristled at her condescending tone. "Those dreadful neighborhoods are part of our city too, Vivian. And the people there have incredible stories and talents that deserve recognition." Vivian's smile tightened. "Of course, dear. It's very charitable of you. But really, isn't it time you focused on more appropriate pursuits? The family business needs attention, you know." Before Ethan could respond, he felt a hand on his arm. It was his father, Gregory Miller, a stern-faced man in his 60s. "Son, we need to talk," he said, steering Ethan away from the crowd. In a quiet corner of the ballroom, Gregory fixed Ethan with a disapproving stare. "This little project of yours has gone far enough. You're neglecting your responsibilities to the company, to the family name." Ethan stood his ground. "Dad, what I'm doing is important. It's making a real difference in people's lives." Gregory's voice lowered to a hiss. "And what about this woman? This Sarah? Don't think I haven't heard the rumors. She's using you, Ethan, She sees a meal ticket and she's playing you for a fool. Anger flared in Ethan's chest. You don't know her, Dad. Sarah is one of the strongest, most talented people I've ever met. This isn't about charity or guilt. It's about doing what's right. His father's face hardened. I'm warning you, Ethan. If you continue down this path, there will be consequences. The board is already questioning your commitment to the company. As Gregory stalked away, Ethan felt a mix of frustration and determination. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he was more convinced than ever that he was doing the right thing. The next day, as Ethan helped Sarah set up the new collective space, he couldn't shake off the lingering tension from the previous night's confrontations. Sarah, perceptive as ever, noticed his distraction. Everything okay? She asked, pausing in her arrangement of easels. Ethan sighed, running a hand through his hair. Just some resistance from my usual circles. They don't understand what we're doing here. Sarah's face fell. Ethan, I never meant to cause problems for you. If this is too much... No, Ethan interrupted firmly. This is important. What we're doing here matters. I won't let anyone's narrow-mindedness stop us. Sarah studied him for a moment, then nodded. Okay, but Ethan, promise me something. Don't throw away your whole life for this. We need to find a balance, a way to make this work without you losing everything else. Ethan was struck by the maturity and consideration in Sarah's words. It was a reminder of how far they'd both come, how much they'd grown through this shared journey. As they continued setting up the space, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Yes, there would be challenges ahead, but looking around at the blank canvases waiting to be filled with stories of struggle and triumph, he knew that every obstacle overcome would be worth it. The art collective was more than just a project now. It was a statement, a bridge between worlds that desperately needed to understand each other. And Ethan was determined to see it succeed, no matter the cost. As the art collective took shape, Sarah found herself navigating a world she had long thought lost to her. The stability of a regular workspace, the camaraderie of fellow artists, and the growing recognition of her talent all contributed to a sense of normalcy she hadn't experienced in years. Yet, with this newfound stability came new challenges. One morning, as Sarah was setting up for a community art class she'd be teaching, Ethan noticed her hands shaking slightly as she arranged the supplies. Sarah, he asked gently, is everything all right? She paused, taking a deep breath before turning to face him. I'm just nervous, I guess. It's been so long since I've been responsible for anything or anyone. What if I mess this up? Ethan's heart ached at the vulnerability in her voice. You won't mess up, Sarah. You're an incredible artist, and you have so much to share. The students will love you. Sarah gave him a weak smile. Thanks, Ethan. It's just, sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's life, you know. Like at any moment, someone's going to realize I don't belong here and send me back to the streets. Ethan moved closer, resisting the urge to pull her into a hug. Their relationship, while warm, still held a careful distance. You do belong here, Sarah. You've earned this, and no one's sending you anywhere. As the students began to arrive, Sarah squared her shoulders and plastered on a smile. Ethan watched with pride as she led the class, her initial nervousness melting away as she lost herself in the joy of teaching. Later that evening, as they were closing up the collective, Sarah broached a subject that had been weighing on her mind. Ethan, she began hesitantly, I've been thinking. I'm grateful for everything you've done, for this chance you've given me, but I need to start standing on my own 2 feet. Ethan nodded, encouraging her to continue. I want to start paying rent, Sarah said firmly. For the apartment, I mean. I know it's through a program, but I want to contribute, and I want to take on more responsibilities here at the collective. It's time I pulled my own weight. Pride swelled in Ethan's chest at Sarah's words. This was the strong, independent woman he'd known was still there, buried beneath years of hardship. "Of course," he said, "we can work out a reasonable rent based on what you're earning from your art sales and classes. And I'd love for you to take on more here. In fact, how would you feel about co-directing the collective with me?" Sarah's eyes widened. "Co-director? Ethan, are you sure? I mean, I don't have any experience running a business or—" "You have life experience," Ethan interrupted gently. "You understand the artists we're working with in a way I never could. We'd make a great team, Sarah." As they hashed out the details of their new arrangement, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. The guarded, defensive woman he'd reconnected with months ago had blossomed into a confident, passionate leader. However, their newfound partnership wasn't without its challenges. As Sarah took on more responsibilities, she and Ethan often found themselves butting heads over decisions for the collective. "We need to be focusing more on outreach," Sarah argued during one particularly heated discussion. "There are so many talented artists still out there on the streets who don't know about us." Ethan sighed, rubbing his temples. "I understand that, Sarah, but we also need to think about sustainability. We can't help anyone if we run out of funding." Their disagreements, while never malicious, often left them both frustrated and drained. Yet, as they worked through each conflict, they found their working relationship growing stronger, more balanced. One evening, after a long day of meetings and classes, Sarah and Ethan sat in comfortable silence, sharing a pizza in the collective's small kitchenette. "You know," Sarah said between bites, "a year ago, I never would have imagined being here, having a home, a purpose. It still feels surreal sometimes." Ethan smiled. "You've worked hard for this, Sarah. You should be proud of yourself." Sarah met his gaze, her eyes serious. "I am. But Ethan, I need you to know something. As grateful as I am for everything, I'm not. I can't." "Sarah," Ethan said softly, understanding her unspoken worry. "I'm not expecting anything from you beyond friendship and our partnership here. That's enough for me." Relief washed over Sarah's face. "Thank you," she whispered. As they finished their meal and prepared to head home for the night, Ethan reflected on their journey. It wasn't the fairy tale reunion he might have imagined when he first recognized Sarah on that street corner. It was messy, complicated, and often challenging. But it was real, and it was making a difference not just in Sarah's life, but in the lives of all the artists they worked with. Walking home, Ethan felt a sense of contentment settle over him. He had found his purpose, and in helping Sarah reclaim her life, he had given new meaning to his own. As the art collective gained momentum, it began to attract attention from the local media. What had started as a small grassroots initiative was now being hailed as an innovative approach to addressing homelessness through art and community engagement. One crisp autumn morning, a reporter from the city's leading newspaper arrived at the collective to do a feature story. Sarah, who had become the face of the project, nervously smoothed her shirt as she prepared for the interview. "You've got this," Ethan reassured her, giving her shoulder a gentle squeeze. "Just be yourself and tell your story." Sarah nodded, taking a deep breath before greeting the reporter, a sharp-eyed woman named Jessica Chen. "And what about your partnership with Ethan Miller? There's been some speculation about the nature of your relationship." Sarah stiffened slightly, her gaze flicking briefly to Ethan, who was pretending to be busy across the room but was clearly listening. "Ethan is a dear friend and a valued partner in this project. Without his support and belief in our vision, none of this would have been possible." As the interview wrapped up, Jessica turned her attention to some of the other artists working in the space. Sarah retreated to a quiet corner, feeling drained but proud of how she'd handled the questions. Ethan approached her, a concerned look on his face. You okay? That got pretty personal towards the end there. Sarah nodded, managing a small smile. Yeah, I'm okay. It's just strange, you know? Talking about my past, about us. I'm not used to being in the spotlight like this. Before Ethan could respond, one of the collective's younger artists, a talented teenager named Marcus, burst into the room, his face alight with excitement. Sarah! Ethan! You've got to see this! He thrust his smartphone at them, showing a live stream of a local news broadcast. The ticker at the bottom of the screen read, Local Art Collective Transforms Lives of Homeless Artists. As they watched, snippets from Jessica's interview played, interspersed with shots of the collective and close-ups of various artworks. Sarah's voice came through clear and strong, speaking about the transformative power of art and community. This is amazing, Ethan breathed, watching as the segment ended with a call for viewers to visit the collective's upcoming exhibition. Sarah, however, had gone pale. It's too much, she whispered, her hands shaking slightly. What if I'm not ready for this kind of attention? Ethan turned to her, concern etched on his face. Sarah, you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. We can scale back, limit media access if that's what you want. Sarah shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. No, it's not that. I want this to succeed. I want to help others like me. But Ethan, what if I'm not good enough? What if I let everyone down? Understanding dawned on Ethan's face. This wasn't just about the media attention. It was about Sarah's deepest fears and insecurities bubbling to the surface. Listen to me, he said firmly, guiding her to a quiet corner of the studio. You are more than good enough. Look at everything you've accomplished, everything you've overcome. You're an inspiration, Sarah, not just to the artists here, but to everyone who hears your story. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. But what if it's all too much? What if I can't handle the pressure? Ethan's voice softened. Then we'll face it together. You're not alone in this, Sarah. You have me. You have this whole community behind you. We'll take it one day at a time. As they stood there, the bustle of the collective swirling around them, Sarah felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. She was standing on the precipice of something big, something that could change not just her life, but the lives of countless others. Okay, she said finally, squaring her shoulders. Let's do this. But Ethan, promise me something? Anything, he replied without hesitation. Promise me that no matter what happens, no matter how big this gets, we won't lose sight of why we started this. It's about the art, about giving people a chance to rebuild their lives. Promise me we'll stay true to that. Ethan nodded solemnly. I promise, Sarah. That's a promise I intend to keep. As they rejoined, the excited group gathered around Marcus's phone, replaying the news segment. Sarah felt a sense of resolve settle over her. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with ups and downs, but she was ready to face it. With Ethan by her side and the strength of their growing community behind her, Sarah felt, for the first time in years, truly hopeful about the future. The media coverage of the art collective brought a surge of interest and support, but it also attracted unwanted attention. One morning, as Ethan arrived at the collective, he found Sarah in a heated discussion with Alex. What's going on? Ethan asked, sensing the tension in the room. Alex turned to him, his face grim. Someone's been digging into your past, Ethan. Specifically, the source of your family's wealth. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. What do you mean? Sarah handed him a printout of an email. This came in this morning. It's from an investigative journalist. They're claiming they have evidence that your family's fortune was built on less than ethical practices. Ethan scanned the email, his heart sinking with each word. The journalist alleged that the Miller family had profited from exploitative labor practices in developing countries, as well as some questionable real estate deals that had displaced low-income families. "Is it true?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. I don't know. I've always been involved in the philanthropic side of things. I never really looked into where the money came from." Alex's expression was sympathetic but firm. "You need to get ahead of this, Ethan. If these allegations go public, it could seriously damage the collective's reputation." Ethan nodded, feeling a weight settle on his shoulders. "I'll talk to my father, get to the bottom of this." As Ethan left to make some calls, Sarah and Alex exchanged worried glances. "This could be bad," Alex muttered. "If people think we're just a vanity project funded by dirty money." Sarah shook her head vehemently. "No, this collective is about more than just Ethan or his family. We've built something real here, something that's changing lives." Meanwhile, Ethan sat in his car, his phone pressed to his ear as he listened to his father's angry tirade. "This is exactly why I warned you about getting involved in these public projects," Gregory Miller spat. "You've made us a target." "Dad, please," Ethan interjected. "I need to know the truth. Are these allegations accurate?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. When Gregory spoke again, his voice was low and dangerous. "The business world isn't black and white, son. Sometimes, to succeed, you have to make compromises." Ethan felt his stomach lurch. "So it's true." "Don't be naive, Ethan," his father snapped. "Every major corporation has skeletons in their closet. The important thing now is to protect our interests. I'll have our PR team prepare a statement." "No," Ethan interrupted, a steely resolve in his voice. "No more cover-ups, no more PR spin. I need to know exactly what happened, and then we need to make it right." "Make it right?" Gregory scoffed. "And how do you propose we do that without bankrupting the company?" Ethan took a deep breath. "I don't know yet, but I know we have to try. And if you won't help me, I'll find out the truth on my own." As Ethan ended the call, he sat for a moment, trying to process the implications of what he'd learned. His entire life, his wealth, his privilege, all of it built on the suffering of others. The irony of using that same wealth to help the homeless wasn't lost on him. When he returned to the collective, Sarah and Alex were waiting anxiously. "Well?" Sarah asked, searching his face for answers. Ethan sighed heavily. "It's complicated, but it looks like there's some truth to the allegations." Sarah's face fell. "Oh, Ethan. What are you going to do?" Alex asked. Ethan straightened his shoulders, a determined look in his eyes. "I'm going to find out exactly what happened, and then we're going to make it right." "We?" Sarah echoed, surprised. Ethan nodded. "If you're willing. This affects all of us and the work we're doing here. I think maybe this is why I was meant to start this project, not just to help others, but to right the wrongs of my family's past." Sarah and Alex exchanged glances, then nodded in unison. "We're with you," Sarah said firmly. As they began to discuss their next steps, Ethan felt a mix of dread and determination. The road ahead would be difficult, potentially damaging to his family and their business. But he knew it was the right thing to do. "Whatever happens," he said, looking at Sarah and Alex, "I want you both to know how grateful I am for your friendship, your support, and for helping me see what really matters." Sarah reached out and squeezed his hand. "We're in this together, Ethan. All of us." As they turned their attention to planning their response to the journalist's inquiry, Ethan felt a strange sense of peace. For the first time in his life, he was facing a challenge head-on, not hiding behind his family's wealth and influence. Whatever the outcome, he knew he was finally on the right path. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity, as Ethan, Sarah, and Alex worked tirelessly to uncover the truth about the Miller family's business practices. Ethan hired an independent auditor to go through the company's records, determined to bring everything to light. As the investigation progressed, Ethan found himself increasingly estranged from his family. His father, furious at what he saw as a betrayal, had cut off communication. The board of directors was in an uproar, and there were whispers of a move to oust Ethan from his position in the company. Despite the turmoil, Ethan felt a sense of purpose he'd never experienced before. He threw himself into the work at the collective, finding solace in the community they'd built. One evening, as Ethan was poring over financial reports in the collective's office, Sarah burst in, her face flushed with excitement. "Ethan, you need to see this," she said, thrusting a letter into his hands. As Ethan read, his eyes widened. It was from the State Attorney General's office, praising their transparency and cooperation in the investigation. The letter went on to state that, due to their proactive approach and commitment to making amends, they would be given the opportunity to implement a comprehensive restitution plan rather than face criminal charges. "This is incredible," Ethan breathed, looking up at Sarah. "We might actually be able to make this right." Sarah's smile faltered slightly. "There's something else, Ethan. Something I need to tell you." Ethan's brow furrowed at the sudden seriousness in her tone. "What is it?" Sarah took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air between them. Ethan felt as if the world had suddenly shifted on its axis. Are you sure?" Sarah nodded, her hands twisting nervously. "I found out a few days ago. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you." Ethan's mind raced. They hadn't been intimate. Their relationship, while close, had remained platonic. "Sarah, I don't understand. Is it—" "It's not yours, Ethan," Sarah said quietly. "Remember when I told you about my life before we reconnected? There was someone. It didn't end well. I didn't know about the pregnancy until now." Ethan nodded slowly, processing the information. "What do you want to do?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know. I never thought I'd be in this position. Part of me is terrified. How can I be a mother when I've barely got my own life together? But another part—" She trailed off, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach. Ethan stood up and moved around the desk, taking Sarah's hands in his. "Whatever you decide, I'm here for you. We all are. You're not alone in this, Sarah." Sarah looked up at him, a mix of gratitude and uncertainty in her eyes. "You've already done so much for me, Ethan. I can't ask you to take this on too." "You're not asking," Ethan said firmly. "I'm offering. Sarah, you've become one of the most important people in my life. This doesn't change that." As they stood there, the weight of their respective revelations hanging between them, Ethan was struck by the strange turns their lives had taken, from a chance encounter on a city street to this moment. Both of them facing life-altering decisions. Both of them changed in ways they never could have predicted. "We'll figure this out," Ethan said softly. "All of it. The investigation, the restitution, the baby. If that's what you want, we'll face it together." Sarah nodded, a small smile breaking through her tears. "Together," she echoed. Just then, Alex burst into the office, his face alight with excitement. "Guys, you won't believe this. The story about our investigation and restitution plan just broke, and the response is incredible. People are calling us heroes for taking responsibility and trying to make things right." Ethan and Sarah exchanged a look, both overwhelmed by the rapid-fire developments. "Looks like we have a lot to talk about," Ethan said, a hint of a smile on his face. As they gathered around Ethan's desk, looking at the flood of supportive messages coming in, Ethan felt a profound sense of rightness. The road ahead would be challenging, rebuilding his family's business ethically, supporting Sarah through her pregnancy, continuing to grow the collective. But for the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. Sarah caught his eye and smiled, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever the future held, They would face it together, stronger for the struggles they'd overcome and the bond they'd forged. In that moment, surrounded by the fruits of their labor and the promise of new beginnings, Ethan realized that sometimes the most unexpected encounters can lead to the most profound transformations. Their journey was far from over, but he was ready to embrace whatever came next, hand in hand with the family he'd found in Sarah, Alex, and the community they'd built together. As the interview progressed, Sarah found herself opening up about her journey, from successful art student to homeless struggling artist, and finally to co-director of the collective. "It's been a long road," Sarah admitted, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes. "But this place, this community we've built here, it's given me and so many others a second chance." Jessica nodded, scribbling notes furiously.